my lovelies, it is time for another book outlet haul, so stay tuned. So I have two fairly decent sized boxes of books from book outlets here, and I want to open them up and check them out. This box came damaged, so I need to make sure everything's okay, but I'm very excited for all these books. Okay, so this box is pretty much open like that. I do need to check and make sure everything arrived. I think it did. It looks pretty full, but we shall see. Okay, so the first book I have here is The Lying Room by Nikki French. This says, one little secret between a married woman, her lover, and a killer. It should have just been a fling, a guilty indiscretion that Neve Connolly could have weathered, an escape from 20 years of routine marriage to her overworked husband and from her increasingly distant children. But when Neve pays a morning after visit to her lover Saul and finds him brutally murdered, their pied-à-terre, still heady with her perfume, and all the lies she has so painstakingly stitched together threaten to unravel. After scrubbing clean every trace of her existence from Saul's life and death, Neve believes she can return to normal, shaken but intact. But she can't get out of her head the one tormenting question: what was she forgetting? An investigation into the slaying could provide the answer. It's brought Detective Chief Inspector Alistair Hitching and Neve's worst fears to her door. But with every new lie, every new misdirection to save herself, Neve descends further into the darkness of her betrayal, and into more danger than she ever imagined. Because Hitching isn't the only one watching Neve. There is a determined killer who's about to make the next terrifying move in a deadly affair. Next up is The Night Swim by Megan Golden. And let's see. This says, a true crime podcast host covering a controversial trial finds herself drawn deep into a small town's dark past and a brutal crime that took place there years before. Ever since her true crime podcast became an overnight sensation and set an innocent man free, Rachel Crawl has become a household name and the last hope for people seeking justice. But she's used to being recognized for her voice, not her face, which makes it all the more unsettling when she finds a note on her car windshield addressed to her, begging for help. The new season of Rachel's podcast has brought her to a small town being torn apart by a devastating rape trial. A local golden boy, a swimmer destined for Olympic greatness, has been accused of raping the beloved granddaughter of the police chief. Under pressure to make season 3 a success, Rachel throws herself into the investigation, but the mysterious letters keep coming. Someone is following her, and she won't stop until Rachel finds out what happened to her sister 25 years ago. Officially, Jenny Stills tragically drowned, but the letters insist she was murdered, and when Rachel starts asking questions, nobody in town wants to answer. The past and present start to collide as Rachel uncovers startling connections between the two cases, and a revelation that will change the course of the trial and the lives of everyone involved. Electrifying and propulsive, The Night Swim asks, what is the price of a reputation? Can a small town ever right the wrongs of its past? And what really happened to Jenny? Next up is Go Tell the Bees That I Am Gone by Diana Gabaldon. Another big chunker by her. This is part of the Outlander series, and I forget which book number this is, like 7 I think maybe, but I pulled up on Goodreads Outlander so I could read you about that. The year is 1945. Claire Randall, a former combat nurse, is just back from the war and reunited with her husband on a second honeymoon when she walks through a standing stone in one of the ancient circles that dot the British Isles. Suddenly, she is a Sassnitch, an outlander in a Scotland torn by war and raiding border clans in the year of our Lord 1743. Hurled back in time by forces she cannot understand, Claire is catapulted into the intrigues of lairds and spies that may threaten her life and shatter her heart. For here, James Fraser, a gallant young Scots warrior, shows her a love so absolute that Claire becomes a woman torn between fidelity and desire, and between two vastly different men in two irreconcilable lives. And I read the first couple of them, And I loved that series. And so at some point I need to go back and reread and continue on. They're just really long books though. Next up is Love from A to Z by S.K. Ali. And this says, a marvel. Something you find amazing, even ordinary amazing, like potatoes, because they make French fries happen. Like the perfect fries Adam and his mom used to make together. An oddity. Whatever gives you pause, like the fact that there are hateful people in the world, like Zeneb's teacher, who won't stop reminding the class how bad Muslims are. But Zeneb, the only Muslim in class, isn't bad. She's angry. When she gets suspended for confronting her teacher, he begins investigating her activist friends. Zeneb heads to her aunt's house in Doha, Qatar, for an early start to spring break. Fueled by the guilt of getting her friends in trouble, she resolves to try out a newer, nicer version of herself in a place where no one knows her. Then her path crosses with Adam's. Since he got diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in November, Adam has stopped going to classes, intent instead on perfecting the making of things, intent on keeping the memory of his mom alive for his little sister. Adam is also intent on keeping his diagnosis a secret from his grieving father. Alone, Adam and Zeneb are playing roles for others, keeping their real thoughts locked away in their journals, until a marvel and an oddity occurs. Marvel, Adam and Zeneb meeting. Oddity, Adam and Zeneb meeting. Next up is Rules for Vanishing by Kate Alice Marshall. And this says, once a year, a road appears in the forest, and at the end of it, the ghost of Lucy Gallows beckons. Lucy's game isn't for the faint of heart. If you win, you escape with your life. But if you lose... Sarah's sister disappeared 1 year ago, and only Sarah knows where she is. Becca went to find the ghost of Lucy Gallows and is trapped on her road. In the sleepy town of Briar Glen, Lucy's road is nothing more than local lore, but Sarah knows it's real, and she's going to find it. When Sarah and her skeptical friends meet in the forest to search for Becca, the mysterious road unfurls before them. All they have to do is walk down it, but the path to Lucy is not of this world, and it has its own rules. Every mistake summons new horrors. Vengeful spirits and broken, angry creatures are waiting for them to slip, and no one is guaranteed safe passage. The only certainty is this: the road has a toll, and it will be paid. Sarah knows that if she steps onto the road, she might not come back. But Becca needs her, and Lucy is waiting. Next up is The Year After You by Nina DePass. And this actually has the no dust jacket. This is made onto the hardcover because it has no flap for me to read. I'll pull it up on Goodreads here. This says, San Francisco, New Year's Eve. A tragic accident after the party of the year. Kara survives. Her best friend G doesn't. 9 months later, Kara is struggling, consumed by guilt and grief. In the hopes of giving Kara a fresh start, her mother sends her to a boarding school in Switzerland, a place where no one knows what happened and where they never will, if Kara can help it. But her new classmates, Ren and Hector, won't let her close herself off. They are determined to break down the walls she has so carefully built up, and maybe Kara wants them to. Especially Hector, who seems to understand her like no one else does. The problem is that the closer Kara gets to Hector, the more G slips away. If moving on means letting go of the past and admitting what she did that night, Kara's not sure she can. She's not sure she deserves a second chance. Next up is Once Upon an Eid, Stories of Hope and Joy by 15 Muslim Voices. And this is edited by S.K. Ali and Aisha Saeed. And I've heard really, really good things about this one. This says, featuring Rhonda Abdel Fattah, Sarah Alfageh, S.K. Ali, Hannah Al-Kaf, Ashley Franklin, Asma Hussein, Helen Khan, Roxana Khan, Huda Al-Marashi, Aisha Matou, Candice Montgomery, Aisha Saeed, N.H. Sinzai, Jamala Tompkins Bigelow, and G. Willow Wilson. Eid. The short, single-syllable word conjures up a variety of feelings and memories for Muslims. Maybe it's waking up to the sound of frying samosas and the comfort of bean pie. Maybe it's the thrill of putting on a new outfit for Eid prayers. Or maybe it's the gift giving and holiday parties to come that day. Whatever it may be, for those who cherish this day of celebration, the feelings may be summoned up by another short and sweet word: joy. Jubilant and filled with heart, Once Upon an Eid showcases the most brilliant Muslim voices writing today, edited by the New York Times bestselling authors S.K. Ali and Aisha Saeed. Next up is The Mother Code by Carol Stivers. And this one says, what it means to be human and a mother is put to the test in Carol Stivers' debut novel set in a world that is more chilling and precarious than ever. It's 2049 and the survival of the human race is at risk. The Earth's inhabitants must turn to their last resort, a plan to place genetically engineered children inside the cocoons of large-scale robots, to be incubated, birthed, and raised by machines. But there is yet one hope of preserving the human order, an intelligence programmed into these machines that renders each unique in its own right: the Mother Code. Kai is born in America's desert Southwest. His only companion, his robotic mother, Rosie. Equipped with the knowledge and motivations of a human mother, Rosie raises Kai and teaches him how to survive. But as children like Kai come of age, their mothers transform too, in ways that were never predicted. And when government survivors decide that the mothers must be destroyed, Kai is faced with a choice. Will he break the bond he shares with Rosie, or will he fight to save the only parent he has ever known? Set in a future that could be our own, The Mother Code explores what truly makes us human and the tenuous nature of the boundaries between us and the machines we create. This sounds amazing. All of these sound so good. I'm so excited for them. Okay, next up is The Wife Stalker by Liv Constantine. And this says, Piper Raynard is the kind of woman who gets what she wants. And now the new resident of the upscale seaside paradise of Westport, Connecticut, has set her sights on handsome, successful lawyer Leo Dracos. The wedding ring on his finger is the only thing she doesn't like about him. Yet, as Piper well knows, no marriage is permanent. Joanna is thrilled that Leo, the love of her life, is finally coming out of the severe depression that had him in its grips. She's shocked when she discovers it's not her loving support that sparked his renewed happiness. It's Piper. He's more than willing to leave Joanna behind, along with everything they've built. Of course, he assures her, she can still see the children. Joanna is devastated and determined to find something, anything, to use against this woman who has stolen her life and her true love. As she digs deeper into Piper's past, Joanna begins to unearth disturbing secrets. But can she find the proof she needs in time to save her family? Next up is Hinch by Natalie Zena Walscott. This has got a little, I don't know if you can see it, a little mask on it. This says, a smart, imaginative, and evocative novel of love, betrayal, revenge, and redemption, told with razor-sharp wit and affection, in which a young woman discovers the greatest superpower. For good or ill is a properly executed spreadsheet. Anna does boring things for terrible people because even criminals need office help, and she needs a job. Working for a monster lurking beneath the surface of the world isn't glamorous, but is it really worse than working for an oil conglomerate or an insurance company? As a temp, Anna's just a cog in the machine, but when she finally gets a promising assignment, everything goes very wrong, and an encounter with the so-called hero leaves her badly injured. And to her horror, compared to the other bodies strewn about, she's the lucky one. So, of course, then she gets laid off. With no money and no mobility, and only her anger and internet research acumen, Anna discovers that her suffering at the hands of a hero is far from unique. When people start listening to the story that her data tells, she realizes she might not be as powerless as she thinks. Because the key to everything is data. Knowing how to collate it, how to manipulate it, and how to weaponize it. By tallying up the human cost these Cape forces of nature wreak upon the world, she discovers that the line between good and evil is mostly marketing. And with social media and viral videos, she can control that appearance. It's not too long before Anna's employed once more, this time by one of the worst villains on Earth. As she becomes an increasingly valuable lieutenant, she might just save the world. A sharp, witty, modern debut, Hinch, explores the individual cost of justice through a fascinating mix of millennial office politics, heroism measured through data science, body horror, and a profound misunderstanding of quantum mechanics. This just sounds fantastic. Okay, next up is Luster by Raven Leilani. And this is actually shorter than I thought it was going to be. Like, it is only 227 pages. This says, no one wants what no one wants. And how do we even know what we want? How do we know we're ready to take it? Eddie is stumbling through her 20s, sharing a subpar apartment in Bushwick, clocking in and out of her admin job, making a series of inappropriate sexual choices. She is also haltingly, fitfully giving heat and air to the art that simmers inside her. And then she meets Eric, a digital archivist with a family in New Jersey, including an autopist wife who has agreed to an open marriage with rules. As if navigating the constantly shifting landscapes of contemporary sexual manners and racial politics weren't hard enough, Eddie finds herself unemployed and invited into Eric's home, though not by Eric. She becomes a hesitant ally to his wife and a de facto role model to his adopted daughter. Eddie may be the only black woman young Akila knows. Irresistibly unruly and strikingly beautiful, razor sharp and slyly comic, sexually charged and utterly absorbing, Raven Leilani's Luster is a portrait of a young woman trying to make sense of her life, her hunger, her anger in a tumultuous era. It is also a haunting, aching depiction of how hard it is to believe in your own talent and of the unexpected influences that bring us into ourselves. And I've heard really good things about this, so I'm very, very interested. Next up is A Burning by Megha Majumdar. This says, Jivan is a Muslim girl from the slums, determined to move up in life, who is accused of executing a terrorist attack on a train because of a careless comment on Facebook. P.T. Sear is an opportunistic gym teacher who hitches his aspirations to a right-wing political party and finds that his own absence becomes linked to Jivan's fall. Lovely, an irresistible outcast whose exuberant voice and dreams of glory fill the novel with warmth and hope and humor, has the alibi that can set Jivan free, but it will cost her everything she holds dear. Taut, symphonic, propulsive, and riveting, A Burning is an electrifying debut novel about three unforgettable characters who seek to rise to the middle class, to political power, to fame in the movies, and find their lives entangled in the wake of a catastrophe in contemporary India. And I've also heard really good things about this one too. Getting close to the bottom here, the next one I have is Rogue Princess by B.R. Myers. And this says, Princess Dela knows her duty. She must choose a prince to marry and secure an alliance to save her failing planet. Yet she secretly dreams of true love and feels there must be a better way. Determined to chart her own course, she steals a spaceship only to discover a handsome stowaway. All Aiden wanted was to borrow a few trinkets to help him get off planet. Okay, so maybe escaping on a royal ship wasn't the smartest plan, but he never expected to be kidnapped by a runaway princess. Sparks fly as this headstrong princess and clever thief battle wits and inadvertently uncover a rebel conspiracy that could destroy their planet forever in this gender-swapping sci-fi retelling of Cinderella. Y'all know I love me a retelling. Okay, this one did get a little bit damaged. It's a little bent here, but not bad. This is the Happily Ever After playlist by Abby Jimenez. And this says, 2 years after losing her fiancé, Sloane Monroe still can't seem to get her life back on track. But one troublemaking pup with a take-me-home look in his eyes is about to change everything. With her new pet by her side, Sloane finally starts to feel more like herself. Then, after weeks of unanswered texts, Tucker's owner reaches out. He's a musician on tour in Australia, and bottom line, he wants Tucker back. Well, Sloane is not about to give up her dog without a fight. But what if this Jason guy really loves Tucker? As their flirty texts turn into long calls, Sloane can't deny a connection. Jason is hot and nice and funny. There's no telling what could happen when they meet in person. The question is, with his music career on the rise, how long will Jason really stick around? And is it possible for Sloane to survive another heartbreak? Yeah, it's bent here too. Like there's a crease in the back. This one did get a little beat up, but still perfectly readable. Stick that one right there. Okay, now for the last book in the box, we have Misfit in Love by S.K. Ali. This one is a very cute cover. This says, Jana Yusuf is so excited for the weekend. Her brother Muhammad is getting married and she's reuniting with her mom, whom she missed the whole summer. And Nua's arriving for the weekend too. Sweet, constant Nua. The last time she saw him, Jana wasn't ready to reciprocate his feelings for her, but things are different now. She's finished with high school, ready for college, and ready for Nua. It's time for Jana's carefully planned summer of love to begin, starting right at the wedding. But it wouldn't be a wedding if everything went according to plan. Muhammad's party choices aren't in line with his fiancé's taste at all. Jana's dad is acting strange, and her mom is spending more time with an old friend, and maybe love interest, than with Jana. And Nua is treating her differently. Just when things couldn't get more complicated, two newcomers, the dreamy Hixson and brooding Laith, have Jana more confused than ever about what her misfit heart really wants. Jana's summer of love is turning out to be a super crowded and painfully unpredictable. This sounds very cute. Okay, so those are all of the books in that box. Now on to the next box. Okay, I'm going to scoot over this way a little bit so we can set these on this side. All right. The first thing I have here is A Beautiful Evil by Kelly Keaton. And love this cover. So I have to interrupt myself here because I did actually tell you about this as well as several other books already, but I have to go back and take what I said about this away because this is actually the sequel for another book that I am pulling up in a little bit. So yes, I have this book. That's all I'm going to tell you about it. It's a sequel to Darkness Becomes Her by Kelly Keaton. Okay, next up is The Nemesis by S.J. Kincaid. And this is the final book in the Diabolic series, which I have pulled up on Goodreads here. This says, Red Queen meets the Hunger Games in this epic novel about what happens when a senator's daughter is summoned to the galactic court as a hostage, but she's really the galaxy's most dangerous weapon in disguise. A diabolic is ruthless. A diabolic is powerful. A diabolic has a single task. Kill in order to protect the person you've been created for. Nemesis is a diabolic, a humanoid teenager created to protect a galactic senator's daughter, Sidonia. The two have grown up side by side, but are in no way sisters. Nemesis is expected to give her life for Sidonia, and she would do so gladly. She would also take as many lives as necessary to keep Sidonia safe. When the power-mad Emperor learns Sidonia's father is participating in a rebellion, he summons Sidonia to the Galactic Court. She is to serve as a hostage. Now there's only one way for Nemesis to protect Sidonia. She must become her. Nemesis travels to the court disguised as Sidonia, a killing machine masquerading in a world of corrupt politicians and two-faced senators' children. It's a nest of vipers with threats on every side, but Nemesis must keep her true abilities a secret or risk everything. As the Empire begins to fracture and rebellion looms closer, Nemesis learns there is something more to her than just deadly force. She finds a humanity truer than what she encounters from most humans. Amidst all the danger, action, and intrigue, her humanity just might be the thing that saves her life. and the Empire. I've read the first one and I have the second one, but now I have all three. Okay, next up is The Assignment by Eliza Weimer. And this says, when their favorite teacher tells them they must participate in a debate about the Holocaust, arguing for the Nazis, Logan March and Cade Crawford are horrified. They can't believe Mr. Bartley would seriously expect anyone to craft an argument supporting the genocide of the Jewish people, even hypothetically. Logan and Cade decide they must take a stand against an assignment that fuels intolerance and discrimination. As the school administration addresses the teens' refusal to complete the assignment, the student body, their parents, and the larger community are forced to face the issue as well. Soon the situation explodes into acrimony and anger. What will it take for tolerance, justice, and love to prevail? The assignment will remind readers that they always have choices and that their choices can make a difference. I forgot I ordered this and I just bought it from Barnes & Noble. That is The Last Laugh by Minnie McGinnis. This is the sequel to The Initial Insult. Let me pull that up. Okay, so for The Initial Insult, it says, welcome to Amontillado, Ohio, where your last name is worth more than money and secrets can be kept for a price. Tress Monter knows that her family used to mean something until she didn't have a family anymore. When her parents disappeared 7 years ago while driving her best friend home, Tress lost everything. She might still be a Monter, but the entire town shuns her now, and she lives with her drunken, one-eyed grandfather at what locals refer to as the White Trash Zoo, a wild animal attraction featuring a zebra, a chimpanzee, and a panther, among other things. Felicity Tornado has it all, looks, money, and a secret that she's kept hidden. She knows that one misstep could send her tumbling from the top of the social ladder, and she's worked hard to make everyone forget that she was with the Monters the night they disappeared. Felicity has buried what she knows so deeply that she can't even remember what it is, only that she can't look at Tress without having a panic attack. But she'll have to. Tress has a plan. A Halloween costume party at an abandoned house provides the ideal situation for Tress to pry the truth from Felicity, brick by brick, as she slowly seals her former best friend into a coal chute. With a drunken party above them and a loose panther on the prowl, Tress will have her answers or settle for revenge. In the first book of this duology, award-winning author Mindy McGinnis draws inspiration from Edgar Allan Poe and masterfully delivers a dark, propulsive mystery in alternating points of view that unravels a friendship forevermore. Next up is Sisters of Sword and Song by Rebecca Ross. And this is a really pretty cover. This says, after 8 long years, Evedne will finally be reunited with her older sister, Halakan. While Eva has been tending their family's olive grove, Halakan has been serving in the Queen's army. But when Halakan appears a day early, drenched and exhausted, Eva knows something is terribly wrong. Halakan is on the run, hunted by her commander and charged with a terrible crime. Though Halkayan's life is spared during her trial, the punishment is heavy. 5 years working in the quarry, 5 years imprisoned, and 5 years serving the house she has wronged. Suspicious of the commander and of Halakan's silence on her crime, Eva volunteers to serve his house in Halakan's stead. If there's a way to absolve her sister, she'll find it there. And as Halakan begins her own sentence, she quickly learns that there are fates worse than death. Acclaimed author Rebecca Ross brilliantly conceives a story set in a richly drawn ancient world filled with danger, magic, and a fierce and unbreakable bond between sisters. And this is a standalone fantasy. Okay, next up is, and I'm not sure if I like this cover, but it was the cheaper one. It is Don't Get Mad, Get Even by Gretchen McNeil. And apparently there is a Netflix original series for this. I'm guessing this is the show edition. This says, Bree, Olivia, Kitty, and Margot have nothing in common. At least that's what they'd like the students and administrators of their elite private school to think. The girls have different goals, different friends, and different lives, but they share one very big secret. They're all members of Don't Get Mad, a secret society that anonymously takes revenge on the school's bullies, mean girls, and tyrannical teachers. But when their latest target ends up dead with a bloody DGM card in his hands, the girls realize that they're not as anonymous as they thought, and that someone now wants revenge on them. As the unlikely group searches for the killer, they uncover secrets and lies that threaten their tenuous friendship. Soon the clues are piling up, the police are closing in, and everyone has something to lose. Next up, this cover is so pretty. It is What I Carry by Jennifer Longo. This says, things that don't fit in a suitcase. Friendship, a boyfriend, family, college. Growing up in foster care, Muir has an unbreakable rule. Pack light. Toothbrush, yes. Socks, yes. Friends, family, a boyfriend, no way. She knows better than to weigh herself down with additional baggage. And now Muir has just 1 year left before she ages out of the system. All she has to do is make it through senior year and she can start living life on her own terms. But then she meets Francine and Kira and Sean and everything changes. Okay, so I had interrupted myself earlier with the thing about A Beautiful Evil because now I have Darkness Becomes Her, and I just realized that this is the first book. This says, A Curse Beyond Her Darkest Fears. Ari can't help feeling lost and alone. With teal eyes and freakish silver hair that can't be changed or destroyed, Ari has always stood out. After growing up in foster care, she longs for some understanding of where she came from and who she is. Her search for answers uncovers just one message from her long-dead mother. Run. Ari can sense that someone or something is getting too close, but it's impossible to protect herself when she doesn't know what she's running from or why she's being pursued. She knows only one thing. She must return to her birthplace of New 2, the lush rebuilt city of New Orleans. Upon arriving, she discovers that New 2 is very different. Here, Ari is seemingly normal, but every creature she encounters, no matter how deadly or horrifying, is afraid of her. Ari won't stop until she knows why, but some truths are too haunting, too terrifying to ever be revealed. Okay, next up is The Best Lies by Sarah Liu. And this says, Remy Tsai used to know how her story would turn out, but now she doesn't even know what tomorrow will look like. She was happy once. Remy had her boyfriend Jack and Elise, her best friend, her soulmate, who understood her better than anyone else in the world. But now Jack is dead, shot through the chest, and it was Elsie who pulled the trigger. Was it self-defense or something deeper, darker than anything Remy could have imagined? As the police investigate, Remy does the same, sifting through her own memories, looking for a scrap of truth that could save the friendship that means everything to her. Told in alternating timelines, this twisted psychological thriller explores the dark side of obsessive friendship. Okay, the next book in here is actually a sequel to one that I don't own, but I got it anyway because I've really enjoyed everything I've read by this author, and so I knew I would want to get the first book and have the second one as well. And because I saw it on Book Outlet, I just went ahead and got it. And that is Deadly Little Scandals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is the sequel to Little White Lies, and I've pulled that up on Goodreads. It says, I'm not saying this is Sawyer's fault, the prim and proper one said delicately, but 18-year-old auto mechanic Sawyer Taft did not expect her estranged grandmother to show up at her apartment door and offer her a 6-figure contract to participate in debutante season. And she definitely never imagined she would accept. But when she realizes that immersing herself in her grandmother's society might mean discovering the answer to the biggest mystery of her life, her father's identity, she signs on the dotted line and braces herself for a year of makeovers, big dresses, bigger egos, and a whole lot of bless your heart. The one thing she doesn't expect to find is friendship, but as she's drawn into a group of debutantes with scandalous, dangerous secrets of their own, Sawyer quickly discovers that her family isn't the only mainstay of high society with skeletons in their closet. There are people in her grandmother's glittering world who are not what they appear, and no one wants Sawyer poking her nose into the past. As she navigates the twisted relationships between her new friends and their powerful parents, Sawyer's search for the truth about her own origins is just beginning. Set in the world of debutante balls, grand estates, and rolling green hills, Little White Lies combines a charming setting, a classic fish-out-of-water story, and the sort of layered mystery only author Jennifer Lynn Barnes can pull off. Okay, next up is Things I Should Have Known by Claire Lebesnick, and should have and the N on known has been scribbled out, so it says Things I Know. And my battery is flashing, so let me go change that out and I'll be right back. Okay, sorry if the angle changed. Now, on to this one. This says, Things Chloe Knew. Her sister Ivy was lonely. Ethan was a perfect match. Ethan's brother, David, was an arrogant jerk. Things Chloe should have known. Setups are complicated. Ivy can make her own decisions. David might be the only person who really gets Chloe. Meet Chloe Mitchell, a popular Los Angeles girl who's decided that her older sister Ivy, who's on the autism spectrum, could use a boyfriend. Chloe already has someone in mind, Ethan Fields, a sweet movie-obsessed boy from Ivy's special needs class. Chloe would like to ignore Ethan's brother David, but she can't. Ivy and Ethan aren't comfortable going out on their own, so Chloe and David have to tag along. Soon, Chloe, Ivy, David, and Ethan form a quirky and wholly lovable circle. And as the group bonds over frozen yogurt dates and movie nights, Chloe is forced to confront her own romantic choices and the realization that it's okay to be a different kind of normal. An unforgettable story about autism, sisterhood, and first love, Things I Should Have Known is sure to steal your heart. Okay, next up is The School for Good and Evil, Book 6, and this is One True King. And I've pulled up book 1 here on Goodreads, and it says, the first kidnappings happened 200 years before. Some years it was 2 boys taken, some years 2 girls, sometimes one of each. But if at first the choices seemed random, soon the pattern became clear. One was always beautiful and good, the child every parent wanted as their own. The other was homely and odd, an outcast from birth. An opposing pair plucked from youth and spirited away. This year, best friends Sophie and Agatha are about to discover where all the lost children go. The fabled School for Good and Evil, where ordinary boys and girls are trained to be fairy tale heroes and villains. As the most beautiful girl in Gavaldon, Sophie has dreamed of being kidnapped into an enchanted world her whole life. With her pink dresses, glass slippers, and devotion to good deeds, she knows she'll earn top marks at the school for good and graduate a storybook princess. Meanwhile, Agatha, with her shapeless black frocks, wicked pet cat, and dislike of nearly everyone, seems a natural fit for the School for Evil. But when the 2 girls are swept into the endless woods, they find their fortunes reversed. Sophie's dumped into the School for Evil to take uglification, death curses, and henchman training, while Agatha finds herself in the School for Good, thrust among handsome princes and fair maidens for classes in princess etiquette and animal communication. But what if the mistake is actually the first clue to discovering who Sophie and Agatha really are? And I've read this first one and absolutely loved it. And so, yeah, I want to have the whole series. Next up, and I thought this was going to be a bigger, like full size. And it's not quite mass market size, but it's a little bit bigger. It's weird. This is Big Summer by Jennifer Weiner. And to give you an idea of size, it's like this size. This says, 8 years after the fight that ended their friendship, Daphne Berg is shocked when Drew Kavanaugh walks back into her life, looking as lovely and successful as ever, with a massive favor to ask. Will she be her maid of honor at the society wedding of the summer? Daphne finds herself powerless to resist her friend's siren song and promises of single men. On a perfect summer night, as generations of Kavanaughs descend on the family beach in Cape Cod, the cute guy materializes and a family feud erupts. When Daphne wakes up the morning of the wedding to find that her crush has vanished and something terrible has happened to her friend, it's up to her to dig deep into Drew's past, unpeel the layers of illusion, and find out the complicated truth about perfect Drew Kavanaugh. Big Summer is a witty, moving story about family, friendship, and figuring out what matters most. I was not expecting it to be small like that. Okay, next up is Steel Striker by Marie Lu. This is the sequel to Sky Hunter, and just like with the first one, it has these stenciled edges, which is really cool. Ooh, that's cool. So once again, I have pulled up on Goodreads so I could tell you about Sky Hunter. In a world broken by war, a team of young warriors is willing to sacrifice everything to save what they love. The Karensa Federation has conquered a dozen countries, leaving Mara as one of the last free nations in the world. Refugees flee to its borders to escape a fate worse than death, transformation into mutant war beasts known as ghosts, creatures the Federation then sends to attack Mara. The legendary strikers, Mara's elite fighting force, are trained to stop them, but the number of ghosts grows and Karensa closes in. Defeat seems inevitable. Still, one striker refuses to give up hope. Robbed of her voice and home, Talon Kanami knows firsthand the brutality of the Federation. Their cruelty forced her and her mother to seek asylum in a country that considers their people repugnant. She finds comfort only with a handful of fellow strikers who have pledged their lives to one another and who are determined to push Karensa back at all costs. When a mysterious prisoner is brought from the front, Talon senses there's more to him than meets the eye. Is he a spy from the Federation, or could he be the weapon that will save them all? And I haven't read that one yet, but everything else that I've read by Marie Lu I've absolutely loved, so I'm sure I'll enjoy these as well. Okay, and we have one last book in here, and that is Monsters Among Us by Monica Rodden. And this, he's pretty pink. This says, when Catherine Ellers returns home after her first semester at college, she is seeking refuge from a night she can barely piece together, dreads remembering, and refuses to talk about. She tries to get back to normal, but tragedy follows her home when days later, the murder of someone close to her shatters any illusion of safety. Catherine feels driven to face both violent events head-on in hopes of finding the perpetrators and bringing them to justice with the help of her childhood friend, Henry. Then a stranger from college arrives with her lost coat, her missing driver's license, and details to help fill in the gaps in her memory that could be the key to solving both mysteries. But who is Andrew Worthington? And why is he offering to help her? And what other dangerous obsessions is her sleepy town hiding? Surrounded by secrets and lies, Catherine must unravel the truth before this wolf in sheep's clothing strikes again. Okay, I'm going to set this one right here. Or maybe right here. Alright, those are all the books. How many did I get? 30 books. Yeah. But I'm very excited about all of them. So have you guys read any of these books? Did you like them? Did you not? Comment down below and let me know. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a big thumbs up. If you'd like to see more videos like this, click that subscribe button down below. And until next time, remember to always be completely you. Bye!